Hello everyone, this is another video on strategic marketing management. This is lesson number 1, part 2, redefining marketing. This is a continuation of our previous video discussion on this subject matter, and we will begin this new video by reading a very insightful quotation from Leo Tolstoy, which is actually very relevant in the modern world today. By the way, the image in this site is accessible through the QR code that is in your screen at this particular moment. Everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing himself. This is a self-reflective quotation which actually asks every one of us. We want the world to change. We want that there is something that will happen for the good of everyone. But we don't want to change within ourselves. So we have to reflect on this particular simple yet insightful line from Leo Tolstoy. Now, in relation to our subject, considering that marketing is a continuously changing field, we should not be thinking of change to happen in our system or in any marketing campaign that we engage in without having change within ourselves. Because change within ourselves is the prelude, a preface to the change that will happen in the organization and the change that will happen in the entire world. Change does not come in other people. Change comes within yourself. And so if you want better future, or in this case, you want better advertising campaigns that results into something that is verifiable and measurable, well, the best thing that you have to do is you have to change within yourself, change your perspective, and do something in order to arrive in that particular desired direction. Now, in this video, we'll be talking about changes in marketing landscape and several other topics that are very relevant into this particular field of study. When dealing with management or marketing in this particular instance, you have to think that things are continuously changing unlimitedly and in seemingly non-stop manner. And so the change in marketing landscape also means change in strategic perspective. And so we have here the demographic shifts. What does it mean? Well, in the previous years, there are so many adults, young or probably age below 60. That is a demographic segmentation. Now, that is no longer the case. Because of population control, because of reproductive health programs, age in countries, depending on how strict is the implementation of these particular reproductive health programs. Let's say, for example, in first world countries, there are lesser and lesser young people in the economy. More or less, there are more and more people who are in old age that are in that particular economy. The situation in the world wherein there is aging population. And so you as a marketer should have to think about that. How do you appeal from that particular fact that the world's average age is increasing instead of decreasing because of advancement in technology that would reduce mortality on childbirth? And so changes in demographic shifts should be a thing that we have to consider first. Next is the change in balance of power between retailer and manufacturers. Previously, the products reach on the hands of the customers solely because it has transported from one point to the other, from one retailer to the other. Retailer 1, retailer 2, retailer 3, and so on. That's the reason why products are very expensive, because it has gone through different profiteering steps. Now, that is no longer the case. Manufacturers can now directly sell to their customers. And so, as a marketing expert or as a marketing professional, in this particular example, you have to be taking into consideration that change in balance of power. Decline in mega brands. In previous decades, it can be observed through historical data that people are more loyal to brands. That's the reason why we have brands that stand out amongst every competitor that would exist in the market, like Coca-Cola, like Pepsi, like Colgate, and all other brands that thrive in a modern time. But now, that is no longer the case. There is a decline in mega brands because of the concept of brand parity. What is brand parity? Well, mega brand, with all of its quality, is also applicable in brands that are unknown, virtually unknown brands that are offering the same quality, the same product, and of significantly lesser price. And because of that, people are no longer that loyal to mega brands. They now try to transfer and shift their loyalty on different categories, like what is the price of that particular item, the quality of that particular item in relation to price. And so brands at this particular moment and in this particular marketing landscape is slowly declining. While it is true that branding is a very important and significant direction to target so that brands may be known to the target audience, yes, that is correct. But remember that people in this generation no longer have that sense of loyalty like in the previous decades. Business models are different today. When we are talking about business, the trend in the previous decades are focused on actual stores, like stores that are visible in the vicinity, like superstores and convenience stores, like all of those malls that are within the metropolis and cities. But that's no longer the case today. In fact, sales and trades are more or less shifting towards the online retailers and e-commerce, meaning the traditional business model is slowly decaying and out of place. Next is the disappearance of marketing department. This is a reality that is present in the current marketing landscape. Many of the brands and corporations all throughout the world are actually dispensing and removing marketing departments. Why? Because marketing now is becoming more and more easy. Just one tap of your hand on a screen, you can actually reach millions or even hundreds of millions of people around the world. And there is a trend in consulting and expertise outside of the corporation itself. there are marketing agencies that caters this particular job that is traditionally attached to the corporation itself, in-house marketing departments. But now that is no longer the case. It is less maintenance, less expenses, and quite effective to actually outsource marketing instead of hiring marketing experts. And so this is also a significant change in the marketing landscape. Next is the decline of marketing specialists, decline in the demand of marketing specialists, of course, because marketing today is a lot simpler than that of the previous years. Demand of specialists, let's say for example data analysts and all other big data, or probably anything of very special and specific role in the marketing department, is already declining. Why? Because these are being done already by software analytics. Just by clicking on a particular software, all of the data and interpretation of those data are readily available. It's a very simple task, and that's the reason why marketing specialists are at some point no longer needed. Next is emergence of new types of customers. We in the modern time have customers that don't think so much of the brand itself or the quality of the product. As long as it is affordable, then so be it. That's the reason why Chinese brands are dominating in the market, because of that particular sense of thinking. Marketing strategy that deals with people's capability to pay. And this is a new type of customers who doesn't care about quality as long as it's affordable. That's the reason why Chinese brands are dominating in the market. The growth of social networking, the availability of communication tools that would let you send information in an instance with the speed of light, that you can communicate people all around the world in just fragment of a second, is also a change that we have to think and take into consideration in the modern landscape. Next, we have the development of cities that never sleep. Our cities are becoming more and more of a 24-hour cities. Our cities no longer sleep. We have the 24-hour services in some other parts of our cities and metropolis all throughout the world. And so your marketing strategy also have to adapt into that. And we have more aggressive markets because this is already a worldwide arena. As long as you start a business, that's no longer confined in a particular vicinity and territory. You are susceptible to all competitors worldwide because there is the internet that connects everyone in the world. And there is a rapid growth of the internet which connect almost everyone in the world. And so makes competition harder because you have to compete with all companies, corporations, and individuals that are selling and promoting something on the internet. And fragmentation of the media. It was solely under radio and television in the previous years. But now, that is no longer the case. We have YouTube, we have Netflix, we have Facebooks, we have social media websites, and all other platforms, including blogs and websites, wherein television, though it is one of the primary means of information, but is no longer the commanding source of information. The internet have overtaken the television. Now, these are the principal changes of marketing. Number one, we have high and rising levels of competition across virtually all markets, meaning all of the markets that we have, whatever is the industry that you are in, have high and rising levels of competition. Far higher levels of price competition. That's what I'm telling you a while ago, talking about specific pricing decisions and strategies. That's the reason why Chinese brands are dominating in the market. We have higher demands for product quality because there is more competition, more quality, and you have to specifically provide an edge against the other competitor. That concept is called product differentiation, wherein you have to be different. You have to be able to surpass the quality of your competitors at a relatively same price. And so there is higher demand of product quality. There is higher rates of product innovation. If you don't innovate, you'll be left behind. So you have to innovate every time. That is why if you observe, iPhone, for that instance, will just rearrange the camera just in order to provide new innovation. Although I don't necessarily recommend that kind of innovation wherein at some point it's silly and ridiculous, but innovation plays a very important role in controlling certain markets. We have changing and less predictable consumer or customers' needs. In the landscape of the modern time wherein there is high probability of impulse purchases, it is less predictable that your customers will need or purchase certain things. And so that's the reason why we employ artificial intelligence and programs and algorithms that will try to understand how your customers behave at a particular period of time and then predict what will happen in the near future. That is the reason why when you are searching specific products on Google, you will receive an advertising specifically about that product in your Facebook wall or in your Facebook timeline, because algorithms and artificial intelligence tries to understand your activities. The emergence of new market segments. This is what I have told you. There are people who are slowly traversing on different segments of the market. Like, let's say, for example, all of a sudden, there is a rise of number of people who will no longer eat meat. And so they are vegetarians. And so that is a new market segment. Those people who don't eat meat. The growing power of the distribution channels. Each of the distribution channels are becoming more powerful than the retailers itself, because at some point product no longer reach at the retailers' hands and retailers' point. From the production to the warehouses, and this will be distributed directly to the customers. Growing environmental and green concerns, the adoption of Green New Deal, and all of the means in order to protect the environment for that matter. And we have higher demands and levels of product quality and increase in government regulations, specifically with respect to government regulations on pricing and environmental concerns. We have regional integration wherein ASEAN, European countries, Middle Eastern countries are coming into an agreement with each other in order to reduce tariff and taxes and to reduce any form of means by which competitions will not be healthy. And so regional integration creates a healthy competition within each countries. Next is increase in advertising and promotional cost because there is greater competition among companies. These are 10 necessary changes in the organizational structure. Because of the changes in the marketing landscape, you have to change your structure also in your organization. One is you have to break hierarchies and reorganize around flatter structures. What does it mean? It means that the traditional top to bottom, up and down structure must be changed in such a way that everyone will be put on a flatter structure, less bureaucracy, and less processes. Organize around smaller business units. Do not create huge companies and huge departments that are so difficult to manage. Create smaller business units. Develop self-management team or self-managing teams. Re-engineer the organizations. Focus on developing network and alliances with other corporations or other companies. Move forward towards transactional forms of organization. Become a true learning organization. You have to learn along the way in each of the tasks that you do and all of the decisions that you make. You have to learn in each of those things. Otherwise, if you don't learn, you will continue to make the same mistake again and again. Emphasize account management in order to integrate specialist expertise across organization for the benefit of the customer. You have to emphasize account management, especially customer accounts, right? The purpose of this is for you to know exactly what your customers' needs are. Next, we have to reorganize the importance of expeditionary marketing. You have to think that you have to try things. Because according to Albert Einstein, those who have not made a mistake haven't tried anything new. And so don't worry about mistakes. Don't worry about things that could probably go wrong in the near future as long as you have to try. Make expeditionary marketing. Probably it might work. Next is rethink the way in which the board of directors operates so that it focuses on a far greater extent upon strategic direction rather than control and day-to-day management. So board of directors must think on a distant and far greater extent instead of thinking on how to control day-to-day basis and how to make sales increase on an instant or some other manipulations in order to appear that the organization is doing well. So you have to think forward. The board of directors must have a strategic point, a direction to which they want to accomplish particular task on a longer strategic perspective. Now, these are the changes and different marketing paradigms. Number one, we have mass marketing. This one is characterized by mass selling and assumes that product within the standard makes the customer happy and heavy advertising will be successful. Well, that is not the case. Mass marketing was probably a thing of the past, right? Because standardization no longer makes the customer happy. Why? Because customers have different demands. The more you customize specific solutions and products, the more that the customers will be happy. And of course, the problem with this is lack of focus and thus result into waste or wasted resources. And customers' individual demands are set aside. So this is what I'm trying to tell you. Next is target marketing, characterized by defined marketing segment and have high level of success due to positions in specific segments as well as the use of marketing analysis. Well, this is actually a good thing. At least there is already a targeted direction upon which each of the marketing process and marketing activities done is taken out of specific analysis, and that predictive or prediction analysis or predictive analysis, whatever is the term for that, is targeted towards specific segments with which your product belongs. But the problem with this is there are more competitors and shift from one segment to the other, meaning there is a shift between one segment to the other because customers are no longer confined into specific segments. They can transfer from one point to the other. Although this is a good strategy because it is well targeted, but there is also more competitors in specific high market segments. Like let's say for example, segments on diapers. Of course, that is a very targeted segment. But you have a lot of competitors in the diaper market. Just let's say for example, on beauty products, you have high profitability level in that particular market segment. But remember, there are also a lot of competitors in that specific segments. Next, we have customer marketing. Focus on key customers and database management. Focus on individual demands, and customers are customized, right? Customers' solutions are customized. The problem with this is, database sometimes don't mean or does not mean anything, yet could be the basis of a decision that cost billions. This is big data management, wherein you take out data that is based on individual trends among millions of people around the world, and you try to predict their behavior in the near future, the decisions that they will do. This is a good thing because you have a basis on your strategy, but the bad thing about this is because sometimes databases are so fragmented that it doesn't make sense and it doesn't mean anything. Yet, these data are the basis of making decisions that cost billions of dollars. And then the last one is electronic marketing. Of course, this is what we have today, wherein people use the internet as a tool of which buyers have 24-hour access to goods and services. There is a huge interaction through light speed communication, and it is global in nature. The problem with this is security concerns, such as hacking on credit cards and bank accounts. Of course, if you want to purchase online, if there is a cash on delivery option, I suggest that you have to use that one. But if there is no cash on delivery option and you have to use your credit cards and online bank accounts, you have to be careful with that because there is a probability. It's what we call as phishing, right? Phishing, wherein your password, your PIN are actually recorded in some kind of a database, and they will use your account to purchase some things. A way by which people all throughout the world becomes victims of these security concerns, hacking on credit cards and bank accounts. Thank you for watching. This is part 2 of lesson 1. See you in the next video.